In the next few minutes, you're going to find out why almost every retirement statistic you've heard is misleading, not because they're wrong, but because they're measuring the wrong thing. I'll show you the massive gap between what the average retiree looks like on paper versus what the typical retiree actually lives on. Then I'll walk you through 4 misleading stats that make retirement look either easier or scarier than reality, so that you can stop comparing yourself to a myth and start planning around what actually is true. Let's start with the retirement account numbers that probably have been making you feel either overconfident or unnecessarily anxious. Our misleading statistic number 1 is the retirement account mirage. When you hear that the average retiree has over $500,000 saved, it might sound like you're behind if you don't have that much. The number might create panic for some and false confidence for others. I actually had a friend recently mention that he read that the average retirement account was over $500,000 for retirees, and his face kind of dropped when he said it, right? He barely had half that saved, and he genuinely thought he was falling behind. What he didn't realize was that he was actually above the median. That $500,000 number, it convinced him his retirement plan was inadequate, but he was just comparing himself to actually the wrong statistic. So here's what the numbers actually show. Only 47% of households age 65 and older have any retirement account at all. Among those who do, the median balance is $170,000, not $554,000 or $500,000 like I referenced earlier. The higher figure is the average, which is going to get pulled up by a smaller number of multi-million-dollar accounts. The median represents the middle person. Half are above it, half below. So when you're planning your retirement, you need to know where you actually stand, not where some inflated average suggests that you should be. Our misleading statistic number 2 is the millionaire retiree illusion. Now, you've probably heard that the average retiree is a millionaire. Technically, it's true, but it's practically useless. This stat makes people feel either overconfident or unnecessarily anxious about where they stand. The actual numbers tell a little bit of a different story. For households aged 65 to 74, the median net worth is $410,000, less than half of what the average suggests. Then the average net worth is $1.79 million, again, pulled way up by wealthier outliers. And here's the critical distinction that most people miss. Net worth is going to include your home equity. So if you own a home that's $300,000 outright and you have $200,000 in retirement accounts, you're at $500,000 median for your net worth. But unfortunately, you can't spend your home equity at the grocery store. The average millionaire retiree headline counts home equity as spendable wealth, which is why it can be so misleading. So when you look at your actual spendable assets, most retirees are nowhere near that $1 million status. Our misleading statistic number 3 is the income reality gap. When retirement income averages hit 6 figures, it sounds like most retirees must be comfortable, but most averages hide the massive gulf between the top and the bottom, and they make half the retirees feel invisible. Last month, I was watching a retirement webinar where the presenter kept referencing $100,000 to $120,000 in typical retirement income. The comment section filled up a little bit with confusion, and some people wrote that they're only living on Social Security, and they mentioned it was like $30,000 or $40,000 a year. So what struck me is how many people felt talked down to because they didn't match a number that wasn't even close to the median. The presenter was citing averages, which again are inflated by higher earners or higher net worths, while talking to an audience of actual retirees seemingly living on half that amount. Now, for households aged 65 to 74, the median income is about $60,900. The average is $142,500. That spread shows you how much top earners skew the numbers. But it gets even more revealing when you break it down by marital status. No one really talks about this, but married couples have a median income of about $75,000. Single retirees, just $28,000, which it makes sense when you look at who's actually retiring. 62% of retirees are married, but 38% are widowed, divorced, or never married. So if you're in that, call it 40% range, and you're single and you're planning around average retiree income, you're probably planning around a couple's budget and not your own budget. And that can lead to completely different and skewed expectations and concerns. Now, misleading statistic number 4 is the bottom half economy. The word average makes it sound like most retirees are clustered right around the middle, but they're not. Retirement has a top half and a bottom half, living in completely different financial worlds. I was reviewing a popular retirement calculator that asks users to input their expected retirement income. with a default suggestion of $80,000 based on the average retiree data that they have. Out of curiosity, I ran the numbers for two scenarios. One retiree living on $22,000 per year and another living on $180,000 per year. As you can imagine, each situation required completely different strategies, yet they were both being averaged together to create that meaningless $80,000 middle number. The bottom half retiree needed every dollar of Social Security optimized, right? Because they're relying so heavily on that. The top half retiree needed tax planning to avoid giving away 30 to 40% in taxes unnecessarily. You see, it's the same word, retiree, but completely different financial universe. Now, the actual income ladder shows the divide. The bottom 20% of retirees live on less than $24,132 per year. The top 20% of retirees live on at least $116,252. That's nearly 5 times difference. And here's the dependency gap. For the bottom 20%, Social Security can represent up to 83% of their income. For the top 20%, it can be as low as 12%. So if you're using average retiree advice without knowing which half you actually fall into, you could be playing by the wrong playbook. Bottom half retirees need income maximization. Top half retirees need tax minimization. And neither should use the other strategy. So what does this all mean for you as an investor and as a soon-to-be or potentially already retiree? When you plan based on averages, right? We're talking about retirement averages and planning for your retirement. You're essentially planning for a person who really doesn't actually exist. You either end up underestimating what you need, leaving you financially stressed, or overestimating what you're going to need, causing you to delay and delay and delay and sacrificing your lifestyle unnecessarily. So the real question isn't, am I average? The real question should be for you, what do I actually need for the life that I want to live? Right? Because it's about you and it's not necessarily just about average people. First, you're going to want to start by identifying which economic tier you're in, right? If you're in the bottom half of retirees, like we talked about, your priority is probably going to be maximizing every reliable income source. So I think Social Security optimization, pension elections, and building a withdrawal strategy that's going to protect your principal, but it'll still allow you to live the life that you want to lead. If you're in the top half, your challenge shifts to more wealth defense. Minimizing taxes, managing IRMA thresholds like we always talk about, maybe coordinating micro Roth conversions depending on your pre-tax to after-tax allocation, and structuring your withdrawals so that you don't give more of your hard-earned savings to the government via taxes. Next, you'll want to separate your spendable assets from your net worth, like we talked about earlier. Your home equity might make you feel wealthy on paper, but it doesn't fund your grocery bill or your travel. So you need to know exactly how much you have that can generate a retirement paycheck. And I understand everyone's going to hit the comments and say, Sean, you can do a reverse mortgage or this or that. You can sell the home later on and rent. I get it. But for the majority of people, their home equity is not going to be a source of available funds in retirement. Then you can build your plan around your specific marital status. So single retirees need fundamentally different strategies than married couples. They're going to have different withdrawal rates, different Social Security decisions for sure, different healthcare coverage options, and much more. So don't let couples-based advice distort your single retiree reality. And finally, understand that retirement planning isn't about hitting some mythical average number. It's about aligning your assets, your income sources, and your tax strategy with the lifestyle that you're trying to achieve. Some retirees live comfortably on $50,000 a year. Others need $150,000 to maintain their desired quality of life. Neither's wrong, they're just different. The mistake isn't about having more or less than the average. The mistake is planning your entire retirement around a statistical myth instead of your actual situation. So you need to know your numbers, need to know your tier, and then build a plan that works for you, your life, and your family, not someone else's average. Now you know why every average retiree statistic you heard is distorted by outliers, household structures, and income tiers that don't reflect the middle, and why comparing yourself to those averages can sabotage your actual plan. But here's what those statistics never tell you. Some retirees with over $2 million will run out of money before they die, while others with just $500,000 will live comfortably for over 30 years. The difference isn't account balance, it's whether you have at least one of these 5 elite characteristics that separate retirees who stress from those who sleep soundly at night. So if you want to find out which of the top 1% retirees you are and discover which type can retire successfully on half the money than conventional wisdom says you need, click this next video.